Hello, my friend. It is wonderful to have you here today. Our story is about a boy who became one of the fastest footballers in the world. But there was one dream he could never reach by running. Let me take you back to 2012, to a small bedroom in Bondy, just outside Paris. Look at the walls. Every wall is covered with Cristiano Ronaldo posters. Inside this room, a 14-year-old boy is lying on his bed. In his hands is a football, and in his head is a dream. The boy grew up in the shadow of his hero, believing one day he would have everything he had ever dreamed of, except the one thing he wanted most. Because some dreams cannot be rushed, this is the story of Kylian Mbappé. Kylian was born in Paris on the 20th of December 1998. 5 months earlier, France had won the World Cup for the first time in history, with Zinedine Zidane scoring 2 goals in the final. The whole country was still celebrating when Kylian came into the world. His family lived in Bondy, a small town just outside Paris, so from the very beginning, Bondy was his home. His father, Wilfred, came from Cameroon, and his mother, Faiza, was born in France to a family from Algeria. Faiza was a professional handball player in the top French league for many years. Bondy is not a wealthy town. Many families came there from other countries hoping for a better life. But Kylian would later describe his home very differently. In Bondy, we do not have a lot of money, but we have dreams. Because dreams do not cost anything. Dreams are free. His father was a football coach at a small local club called AS Bondy. So Kylian first touched a football when he was very young, treating the pitch like a second home. At 6 years old, he joined the youth team, and something unusual happened. The coaches quickly realized Kylian was too good for boys his own age, so they moved him up to play with 10-year-olds. He was still the best player on the pitch. His youth coach, Antonio Riccardi, who had coached hundreds of children in his life, said something remarkable. Kylian was the best kid I ever coached, probably the best I will ever coach. Riccardi remembers one local match where Bondy was losing 1-0. At halftime, the dressing room was quiet, and the players were upset. Then the small boy stood up. "Do not worry," he said. "I will get the ball. I will score." The team went back onto the pitch. Kylian got the ball and burst forward, skipping past the first defender, then the second, then the third. Soon there was only the goalkeeper left. Kylian stayed calm and rolled the ball into the net. He had done exactly what he promised, at just 10 years old. By the age of 11, scouts from Europe's biggest clubs were coming to Bondy. Real Madrid was watching. Chelsea was watching. Bayern Munich was watching. Nobody had seen a young French talent like this since Zinedine Zidane. Can you imagine what it felt like to be that boy? A small child in a small town, and suddenly, the biggest clubs in the world are knocking on your door. In late 2012, just before his 14th birthday, Real Madrid invited him to visit their training ground. His parents said yes to this special trip. When the family arrived at the training center in Madrid, a tall man was waiting quietly by his car in the parking lot with a warm smile. It was Zinedine Zidane. The greatest French footballer of all time had come in person to meet a 13-year-old boy from Bondy. Zidane pointed at the passenger seat and offered to drive Kylian to the training pitch. The boy climbed in, so nervous he could barely speak. Finally, he asked a simple question. "Do I need to take off my shoes?" Zidane laughed. "Of course not," he said. "Come on, get in." Kylian sat there in silence, thinking to himself, "I am just Kylian from Bondy. This cannot be real. I must still be sleeping on the plane." Zidane gave him a personal tour, and then Kylian met Cristiano Ronaldo, the man whose posters covered his bedroom walls. Kylian stood beside his hero and smiled like a child on Christmas morning. Real Madrid wanted him, opening every door and offering everything. But when the family flew home, Wilfred and Faiza said no. They were worried that at 13 years old, Kylian might disappear inside a club full of extraordinary talent. His mother wanted him to grow up like a normal child, and his father wanted to protect him. Real Madrid would have to wait. Neither Kylian nor Real Madrid knew they would have to wait another 12 years. At 13, Kylian left home for the first time to join AS Monaco, one of France's best clubs for developing young talent. He moved through the youth teams faster than anyone expected, scoring 10 goals in his first 5 games at the under-19 level. On the 2nd of December 2015, in the 88th minute of a home game, a skinny teenager with number 33 on his back pulled off his training jacket. At 16 years and 347 days old, Mbappe became the youngest first-team player in the history of AS Monaco, breaking a record that had belonged to Thierry Henry. He did not celebrate wildly, he did not buy a sports car, and he did not move into a mansion. Monaco offered him a small room in the training center, and Mbappe later said, "Footballer does not rhyme with Ferrari. I have no car. It is not a big deal." Then Monaco unleashed him in the 2016 to 2017 season. He scored against Manchester City, against Borussia Dortmund, and netted 15 league goals. Monaco won their first French title in 17 years and reached the Champions League semi-finals. All of Europe was watching this boy from Bondy. In August 2017, Paris Saint-Germain changed football history by paying €180 million for the 18-year-old, making him the most expensive teenager football had ever seen. The next summer, the World Cup came to Russia. At 19 years old, Mbappe was the youngest star in the French squad. France's first big test came in the round of 16 against Lionel Messi's Argentina on the 30th of June 2018. It became one of the greatest World Cup matches ever played. In the 13th minute, Mbappe picked up the ball inside his own half, ran 60 meters, and defenders could not catch him until he was brought down for a penalty. After Argentina came back to lead 2-1 and France equalized 2-2, Mbappe took over. In the 64th minute, he slipped a low shot under the goalkeeper, and 4 minutes later, he fired the ball high into the net before the keeper could react. France won 4-3. Mbappe joined a very small club, a teenager scoring twice in a World Cup knockout match. Before him, only Pelé had done it in 1958. When journalists asked him about it, he was calm. It is flattering to be the second one after Pelé, but let us put things in context. Pelé is another category. On the 15th of July, 2018, in Moscow, France met Croatia in the final. By the 65th minute, from 20 meters out, with no backlift and no hesitation, his right foot swept through the ball. The shot stayed low, skipping past the diving goalkeeper into the corner to make it 4-1. France won 4-2. At 19, he was a world champion, the first teenager to score in a World Cup final since Pelé 60 years earlier. The next day, Pelé sent him a message. "Welcome to the club." Then, Mbappe did something that shocked the world. He received about $500,000 for playing and winning the World Cup, and he gave all of it away to a French charity that helps sick and disabled children play sports. He explained, "I did not need to be paid. I was there to defend the colors of my country. A 19-year-old global star gave away $500,000 to children who could not run." To understand what made Mbappe different, you have to understand his speed. His feet were fast, but his mind was faster. In 2019, playing for PSG against Monaco, the GPS tracker on his shirt measured his top speed during a sprint at 38 kilometers per hour. The fastest human being alive, Usain Bolt, has a top speed of about 44 kilometers per hour. Mbappe is only 6 kilometers per hour slower, but he is not a sprinter. He does this while controlling a ball, avoiding defenders, and thinking about where to shoot. This speed made him unstoppable at PSG, becoming the club's all-time leading scorer with over 250 goals. But even the fastest man in the world cannot outrun time. On the 18th of December 2022, at the Lusail Stadium in Qatar, the World Cup final placed France against Argentina. It was Mbappe against Lionel Messi, two teammates from PSG, two of the best players in the world fighting for one trophy. The first half was a disaster for France as Argentina went up 2-0. Mbappe barely touched the ball in the first 70 minutes. But in the 80th minute, everything changed. France won a penalty, and Mbappe coolly sent the goalkeeper the wrong way. Just 97 seconds later, he did something impossible. A volley from an impossible angle that flew into the far corner. The stadium exploded, and Messi looked scared for the first time. In extra time, Messi scored again, but Mbappe would not stop. In the 118th minute, he scored another penalty, making it 3-3. 3 goals in a World Cup final. Nobody had done this since Chef Hurst in 1966. The match went to penalties. Mbappe scored his, but France lost the final. The lasting image of that night was not Messi lifting the cup, but Kylian sitting alone on the bench, his shirt pulled over his face. He had scored 3 goals, won the Golden Boot with 8 goals, and was the hero of the match. Yet, sitting on that bench, he had learned something his speed could not teach him. Sometimes, you can do everything right and still lose. Here is the strangest thing about Kylian Mbappé. He is the fastest footballer on the planet, but he had to wait 7 years to arrive at Real Madrid. In 2017, he chose PSG. In 2022, when his contract was ending, everybody believed he was going to Madrid. But inside his home, a war began. His mother wanted Madrid, his father wanted Paris. In the end, he stayed in Paris. Real Madrid was furious, and back in Bondy, angry fans painted "Mbappe, you are dead" across his huge mural. The fastest man in football could not run away from time. Finally, on a summer morning in 2024, the wait ended. His contract expired, and Real Madrid announced that Kylian Mbappé was their player. He wrote, "A dream come true, so happy and proud to join the club of my dream." Standing at the training ground in the white shirt, he was given the number 9, the number Ronaldo wore in his first season. His first season was magical. 43 goals in all competitions, and in the calendar year of 2025, he scored 59 goals for Real Madrid, tying a record set by Cristiano Ronaldo himself. The dream was working. As this story is being told, the 2026 World Cup is still happening. On the 30th of June 2026, France played Sweden in the round of 16. Mbappé, now the captain, used a clever crossover step to score a diagonal shot, making it 1-0. He did not run to the crowd. He ran straight to his coach, Didier Deschamps, who had just returned from his mother's funeral. Mbappé held him and later said, "He knows he will never be alone with us." France won 3-0, and Mbappé broke the record for the most goals in the knockout stages of the World Cup in history. He may lift a trophy, or he may lose again, but one thing is certain: Kylian Mbappé is the greatest French goalscorer who has ever lived. Today, in Bondy, there is a huge painting on the wall of an apartment block. A young boy is hugging a football, dreaming. And rising above him is the same boy grown up, wearing the number 10 shirt of France. At the bottom is a sentence: "Love your dream, and it will love you back." 20 years ago, a small boy covered his walls with posters of his hero. Today, other small boys look up at walls covered with posters of him. My friend, the fastest man in football could not sprint to his dream. He had to run, and he had to wait. The biggest dreams always ask for both. Keep running when you can, keep waiting when you must. Dreams are patient, and they know the way home. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Do you think Mbappe will win the 2026 World Cup with France? Leave a comment and share your thoughts. Until next time, take care of yourself, and when night falls, come back to the silent pitch.